reduce the cost of the cloud services. Okay, a lot of services coming from the cloud, and then the service when it's released to you. Okay, what will happen is that that services are really costly. Okay, don't get me wrong. Cloud give you all the services that are possible. Perfect, awesome. But guess what? It's gonna cost you as well. And a lot of time I heard people were saying it, okay, cloud doesn't cost much. No, wait for it. As soon as you have 1,000 users, okay, I come and show it to you. You will have be paying a lot of money to the cloud. So set up the environment from the starting point in the way that is following the best practices, reducing the cost, and then move forward. Okay, cost and security is by default is the best control in the cloud. But if you do not control it, oh my God, it's gonna be challenging. Okay, now I am going to show you how we're doing it in the other customer of ours, and then we go from there then. Okay, here you go. I'm sharing my screen. Okay. Okay. Bear with me because I have huge screen here. That's why I'm not gonna put the presentation in the presentation mode. I'm just gonna present it over the what you called it, over the PowerPoint rather than doing it as a presentation mode in the PowerPoint. Okay, so step number one, we have 3 or 4 different model of code release and code deployments. First, let's talk about the baselining. Okay, very very basic things. Okay, first front end, which is the web most of the time, and then mobile app and a lot of other times as well. We'll go to the mobile app in the other screens, in other slides, and I can show it to you how the mobile app is supposed to work, what is the best practices behind the mobile apps, to when you're releasing it, you would be able to test it every time, okay? And I'm gonna show it to you how we did the release in Netflix, how we did the release in, for example, RBC, how we did the release in a huge company that is supporting credit unions with different apps. Each one of these credit unions had their own apps, and then backend was similarly same, but how to put the concept in to put it in and then move it towards the cloud. And then we apply the cloud services to each one of these concepts. Step number one, front end. It's a web. It's a simple, most of the time, 99% of the time, a static HTML. Okay? It's a simply just file. Where do you want to put it? Normally, you're putting it on the cloud storage and you're publishing it. Simply as it is. You do not do it over anything else. And what makes it different between the front and the web that is built is the environmental variables. Example of it. When I want to connect to my backend through the APIs, we call the APIs.hungerswipe.com is become .io become the API for the backend. Correct? Now, this is the production environment. How about the dev? How about the QA? How about the staging? Then for those, you're calling it api.dev.hungerswipe.com or QA or other ones. So those are, we call it variables that is different between the environments. And what we do, we're simply, after a compile, we're just gonna do a simple command. Wherever we're seeing them, we're just replacing it for a different environment and we're pushing the files to the different environment. So one-time build, after that, we're pushing it to the different environment. The only difference in here is that the developer machines, okay? I am developing it on my computer and I wanna debug the code. This is not the build that is designed, optimized, makes it small and fast for the production environment. This is the code that is designed for me as a developer to test it. So if that's the concept, I'll launch it as a developer mode on my computer, npm start. Okay, so that's the first concept. Everyone agrees with the concept, or should I go a little bit deeper into the concept?
Yeah. If you have
Okay,
questions, you can ask any questions at this point.
guys, it's interactive. What we call that work. Okay, so we can do the all the questions and answers here, and we can move forward from there.
So guys, when we see the URL, it will be like app.dev.hungerswipe.co, not Thinking Lab.
Oh, yeah, that's great. That's great. This is the baseline that I have it here for concepts, and then we go from there. Okay, now let me go to the next. Go ahead.
What's the difference between web frontend and the post build script? The first block and the second block that's pointing to.
Okay. The first one, this part, this HTML part. That
Yeah.
When you commit your files to the Git repository, either it's a GitHub or Bitbucket or what you call it, a GitLab. Is all of them for me is the Git repository. Correct? When you compile, when you push it there, the compiler grabs it, compile the application. Output of that application become an artifact. I called it web front end HTML file. When it comes to the post build script, is the time that it got that baseline information inside it, and now it's going to replace the URLs, your baseline URLs, based on the environment and make it ready and package it to go to deploy to the different environment. Now let's talk about the version. I have a version 1 of the application front end. Okay, it is compiled here. Now it will create a package for different environment, and that's a post-build script that is running over the compiled package or build package. Is that clear?
Yeah. Thank you.
Awesome. So then, but in that case, if we put it, for example, after the build script is running over it, what it does, it goes here, says, okay, app.dev.hungerswipe.io or .co or something like that, and then you will see the URLs. Okay, that's for the dev. For the QA, gonna be the different one, and the version release following this one as well. A lot of other companies as well, they have the versions at the beginning of the URL as well. For example, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, or something like that, and you can see them. So 1.app. That kind of things as well you see, but it doesn't need it for us. It's too complicated if you go that fast. Okay, so let's go to the next slides. Okay. Now we're talking about the other methods of the debugging and finding out the debugs. It's similar to the above, just instead of you compiling it, you're getting the same codes from the repos and start debugging it and running it on your computer to the debug. For the debug mode as well, if you want to do it in the dev environment, then you're calling it as a debug, and stuff. It compiles it. It will run it instead of compiling app or building the app. What it does, it will launch the app in the run state and enable the debug on the debug mode for the app, and you can debug it at the front end side as well. And you can share the environment with the others to debug it as well. That's again, it's gonna be that one. Okay, now let's go to the next one here. Now, a lot of time I noticed that people were doing this method. This is the dead method, I call it. Why? And I'm gonna go through it, each one by one. You have a Git repository, agreed? We push the code to the Gits all the time. We're creating different branches. A lot of time I notice that people create a different branch. Master branch most of the time for the production. We have a dev environment, we have a dev branch, we have a QA branch, and then what will happen is that then the people will start merging from their own branch to the dev. It means goes to the dev environment, then merging to the QA branch. From the dev, it goes to the QA environment, and then following that, then they're merging it to the prod, and it goes to the prod. A lot of enterprises, they get rid of it. You know why? Because if we talk about it here again, similar to this one, the application plus the environmental variables become something that you don't need to recompile it all the time. Environmental variables all the time is separate, and it's the same application, it's just deployed in a different environment. So you don't need to recompile it. That's why they called it, this method is the dead method. Okay? What is the new method? What they're doing it, how this thing's gonna happen. what will happen is that in the new method, instead of using that Git and Git repos and creating all those challenges around of it, all the time they're merging it to master, and then the tagging the code after the build is completed with the version control and putting it inside the container. 99% of the time, the artifact goes inside the container or goes inside your artifact repository, such as Artifactory, such as the what they called it, Nexus, or some things like that. And so you have a different artifact. But all the time, the tags inside of your Git repos, it will shows what the version of application. Okay, and if you want to grab that tag, edit it, fix it, push it again right away to the production environment, still you can do it. Okay, so a lot of time it comes up with this concept that, okay, if I do not have a branch, what will happen now? God, I cannot go back and do the fixing the application. 99% of the enterprise, they will not let you push anything to their end, or medium-sized vendor companies, push anything directly to the production environment. It has to follow the code control. It has to follow the dev, QA, stage, and prod. If they want to bypass it, it means that you have to go to the VP level to get the approval. So longer story short, it won't happen like that. So that's why a lot of other companies, they get rid of these. You just have a master and CI/CD, similarly like that, okay? So how it works. Oh, and up to here, any question, any concerns for the front end? Then I'm gonna go back and now go to the mobile app and the back end a little bit and talk about those. Okay, I see Nita, what you call it, put the thumbs up. It's awesome. Okay, no questions. Okay, let's go to the mobile apps now. First things first, for the mobile apps, I put the Jenkins here. A lot of people, they know Jenkins, and Jenkins is the free CI/CD tools. A lot of customers of mine, they're using it. A lot of our customers are using it. But don't get me wrong. GCP has its own CI/CD. AWS has its own. Azure has its own. Three of them, three big players, they have their own CI/CDs. Okay? And they're doing it perfectly. You want to use one of them? That's perfect. A lot of other CI/CD tools are also available. What the CI/CD will do, will grab the code, compile it, and deploys it to the OR environment. Simply as it is. Continuous integration, continuous deployment. Simple. There's nothing major about it. But now let's talk about the how we're gonna test the mobile apps. Every time that I work with a new companies, we have this challenge coming up, and every single time becoming a challenge. How are we gonna follow the release control for the mobile app? It's the one application, and then you compiling it. Now you're pushing it to your app stores as a beta version or alpha version or in-flight testing, correct? Either one of these three methods. For the Googles, we're using alpha and beta testings, and for the iPhones, we will use the in-flight testing, correct? But it's the same application. How are we gonna connect these same applications to our dev environment, get our response from our dev environment, making sure everything works perfectly from that? How we connect it to the QA environment, how we connect it to the staging, and now I'm publishing it, correct? How are we gonna make sure that it's connected only and only to production environment? Okay, now that's method come up all the time. So you push your code to the to your Git repository. Jenkins outputted, or let's call the CI/CD, will pick it up. Okay, compiles the app on a Mac agent. Why Mac? A lot of again question come up time to times why we're choosing a Mac agent, because if I have a one Mac computer, I can compile for Google and iOS. So both of them can be compiled in the same computer. That's why we're using a Mac rather than the other agents. Okay, so it could give me two builds, iOS and Android. and then it goes to the stores, and then we put them on our stores. Now, for the app, we add something before we start pushing the app to the Git repository, a logic, a beautiful logic. So, is there any question up to now in the about how the CI/CD gonna work? Or no? Good? Are we good? Perfect. I see a lot of silent people here, so it means there's no question. Ask later on, no one gonna learn anything. Don't worry about it. Okay, now let's talk about the how we're gonna release it. In the logic of the app, every time that I work with the medium-sized companies and goes to the enterprises, and now in their startups, a lot of time, we say, in your login, put these things beautifully. If your domain ended with the dev, now I'm calling the URLs for the dev environments. And I'm going to show you how the config URLs works. We have another concept of config URLs. I'll walk you through that one as well, which is creating your application very smart, like as a Netflix is smart, like as the what you call that banking is smart, like as a Visa or Master application, Visa card or Master application, Mastercard application is smart. Okay. Then for anything ended but .qa, it means that I need to go check it with the QA environment. Simple. We do not have any public domains up to now that is ended with the dev, that is now ended with the QA, that is now ended with the stage. Simple as it is. So the system will understand, oh, okay, now we're talking about I need to connect to the URLs on the dev environment. I need to connect to the URLs in the QA environment, and I need to connect to the URLs in a staging environment. Simple as it is. It doesn't care about anything else. And if you're talking about releasing a function is gonna stay as it is inside the app. The only baseline URL that is connected to the backend is gonna change because this is the same app. Okay, gonna go release. Another beautiful way of doing this way is that when now this has become your username, correct? By saying this one dev, it will connect to the backend auth that is connected only and only gonna work with the dev environment. If I have the user in that dev auth, then auth, let's call it, then I would be able to authenticate the user and I would be able to show them everything. If the users, even though by mistake they put the dev at the end of the URL or QA or staging, the real users, they won't be able to connect to my environment because their username is not there. They're getting an authentication error. Simply, they're not going to go there. Production users, they're never going to be on the QA, dev, or stage environment. Okay? So simply as it is. And then for for my prod, I never have those kind of extensions. So I know I understand. The app will understand. Now it's going to the production environment. When we do the release as well, it will be perfectly following our release. A lot of other concepts coming up, and I'm gonna show it to you. This one as well. It's the cool concept. It's a Netflix, Mastercard, Visa, or also I should say some of the banks. Now also Uber is using similar things. Okay, they're coming with we call it config app. What is this one? Is simply a REST API. I use that as a sample for one of the other companies that we are helping right now. It's here.com. If you go to online, you will see them as well there. So, what is the concept? Config app is simply a REST API that it will tell the app what version are you, okay, and what version I'm supporting in the backend, okay, and what are the baseline URLs are. Simple as it is, unauthenticated. When you're launching the app first calls this, go to this config URL and grab these information for me. Two things it will grab. Each URL have a backup URL, okay? Means that I will have a two URLs. Let's call it, I want to connect to the APIs. I have an API 1, API 2. Why? Because if the API 1 is down, all the time I can call the API 2s, retry on the API 2s and move forward, okay? Means that if I do the maintenance on the API 1, I'm never going to be down because every of my user is going to go to the API 2 already. Or I do the maintenance on API 2, every user is going to go to the API 1. Never downtime. Agree? Simple as it is. So first one is this one. So we talk about it. It's the REST API, unauthenticated. We're letting everyone in the planet know about it. You want to test it? You want to work with it? Go ahead, do it. But I have a cross-origin authentication or certificate attached to this URL, so you cannot simply read all the data from it. It's authenticating using certificates. Okay, so if we give them a REST, telling them what are the URLs for the backends. Simple as it is. And then dev, QA, staging, and then here you go. So now my mobile app, when it's launched, at the beginning of the launch, don't get me wrong, not before that, not after you launch it. You're not going to go ping it back again. 80-90% of the time during the launch, we're telling it, these are the URLs for the dev, QA, and stage. It goes pull all those things, keep it in the cache, in its memory, and done. We will work with them. Okay, now I stop my presentations and I go ask each one of you guys what you got from these concepts. Okay, front end guys. Okay, who's gonna tell me if I have a HTML application, if I compile my React.js app, compile it, build it, run build, we call it, npm run build, correct? Now build it, compile it, complete it, become a HTML, correct? Simple HTML file. What will happen to make sure that it's gonna work in different environments? What should I do here? Who's gonna answer me? I choose a person from the list. How about Amanda? You were the first in the list.
Are you talking about? Could you repeat the question of what you can do to?
Yeah, I have a web application. We compiled it. It become a fully static HTML application. Okay. And now I want to put it in the dev environment and later on move it to the QA environment. What was the process for us to do this move? What we call that process? How you understand? Now I can go to the QA environment and work with the QA services on the backend.
For continuous integration and continuous development, you have the URL and you have .app or .dev or .qa.
Awesome. But how do my environment know, how the app will know it is in the QA environment, as an example?
It's going through the build.
Perfect. That answered my question almost. So yeah, environmental variables, guys. Don't forget. Okay. So let's go to the mobile app. Who wanna answer the mobile app questions before I start the GCP and sharing my screen around the GCP? Nick, Jake, you two guys wanna answer the questions?
I'm in the front-end web development. I'm with Amanda.
You're hiding it. That's the bullet. Elias, do you want to answer some question around that?
Yeah, I can give it a shot.
Awesome, cool. Now I have my mobile app application being compiled. Okay, how the mobile app application will understand now? It needs to go connect to the QA environment. I can't.
Really
You were
sure.
sleeping. You were sleeping. Okay, Jake, can you tell me how it's gonna understand it needs to connect to the QA environment?
I'm also not in the mobile.
Oh, you're
So
not.
I guess I'm dodging the bullets too.
I think I can actually answer that question. You made it very clear. So it's because you already have like multiple environments. For instance, so you have the config.dev, config.qa, config.stage, and then that's where different environments will start to come up, and that's where you'll know which environment you'll actually be getting. For instance, the testing environment, you'll actually get the test environment, but go into the QA URL for that matter. So
Awesome. You answered the question very, very closely, but I'm gonna share my screen again and walk you through the concept so it become a really, really familiar concept for everyone again, okay? So, one more time, just a random overview, and then we move on to the cloud, a beautiful thing that we wanna work, okay? All of us, we're gonna get our hands dirty, okay? So, we talk about it. Every time that your mobile app is released, during the authentication, you will understand which environment needs to connect to based on what is the end of your authentication users coming in. Even for the telephone numbers, you could type .dev and then it just translating it to the what you call the numbers for .dev. So you know it, this is .dev environment, even if you authenticating a user with the telephone number, okay? But longer story short, now you know it, .dev, .qa, .stage, it will tell the app, I am running on the dev environment or I want to test my app to the dev environment. Go grab the URLs for the dev environment. Or if you cache them in the cache, connect me to the dev environment, which we talk about it in the config here. Okay? Good guys. Now, question and answers are gone. Now is the time to do some magic and go to us to the Google. Okay, now I'm sharing my screen again and do the Google for you. Share a window. Oh, okay, before I start that one, any question? Guys, shoot, ask a difficult question. You're sitting there, guys. No questions? Okay, I'll go to the
I actually have a question.
Awesome, go for it.
What's the benefit of using Google Cloud over AWS?
Google has a lot of different services and they are very, very agile, okay? The only difference between the Google and the AWS, every system is very, very similar, is that they are really focusing on the providing you a lot of free services that AWS focus to make money out of. Simple as this. Second thing is that whatever development you do, it is almost impossible. I can tell you that. It is almost impossible that you do not tie to the Google. I can tell you that. Although it is almost impossible. Why? First, a lot of time you do the any kind of development, any kind of website you create, you need to launch they show them the map. Where the map most of the time coming from? Mr. Google. Correct? Anytime that you develop a mobile app, where it's going to? Mr. Google. Correct? One of the easiest way to put the mobile app, launch the mobile app, is the Google Store. Correct? Mm-hmm. It doesn't have a lot of restrictions that the Apple has it. Correct? Second, after that, again, you see coming back again to Mr. Google and the cloud compute on the Mr. Google. Okay? And a lot of times you see the Firebase or the notification is cheaper than the AWS and those kind of things. But again, a lot of time now, I can tell you, Google start losing to the AWS and Microsoft. Microsoft got all the enterprise customers back there. Why? Because for long time, people were on the Windows. I am running on the Windows right now on my machines here. So, longer story short is that Microsoft got those enterprises to expand their business like that. Although the cloud was challenging, AWS go towards to the innovation model and giving the open source and that kind of thing. They got a lot of customers, a medium size. At the beginning were startups. Then Google, with all these things that it tied to itself, they couldn't get a lot of customers. Then what they did from last year, they start giving a lot of promotions, letting the customers to come into the Google. They even investing in the companies that they come into the Google. One of the other reasons that the companies I see they go to the Google is this one. Google is the god of the machine learning in terms of vision, machine learning for the computer vision, and god of the again predictive analytics. So me, Sean Marabi, a lot of my work is run for those purposes, either on Google or on the Azure, not on AWS. AWS is good for a lot of other services, but anytime that I have the open source service, Either I run it on AWS on the Google or Google, okay? And if I want to test something, if I want to do the trial and errors with limited cost, do not burn my credit cards out, I'll go to the Mr. Google. That's giving me a lot of more flexibility. $300, for example, accounts that you create. Those are the reasons people choose the Google. But for these purposes, right now, for the Hunger Swap, why we choose the Google? Because it's much more easier to use it at the beginning. And we needed it for the other purposes of, for example, launching the app and the others. For now, we're staying with the Google. Later on, if we see the cost with the Google high, like this, we move it. And we do everything as a container. What does it mean? Lift, shift, put it in the Mr. AWS. Done. Okay. So I'm hoping you guys can also see my screen. Can you? Awesome. I need everyone's email. Now type it in the chat window. Step number 1, I need your email because I want to invite you to the project. And then we go from there. You want to get your hands dirty now. Awesome. This email has to be also, you're going to go to the Google and enable your email if it's not the Gmail or something, that you can still log in with the Google, but you do not need the Gmail services for it, okay? What it does, it will send you a token to your current email, and it will allow you to authenticate using Google and log in. So I'm adding Jake here. Okay. I'm adding Nick here. Gmail. I believe that's the Gmail. So I'm adding, oh yes. I'm adding, what are they?
Add everybody. Okay, awesome.
And then, come on, it doesn't like me. Come on, 3 people? No. Sorry. Same there. And then, calling. The email address, the domain must be associated with the alternative Gmail. Oh yeah. Amanda, I'm gonna walk you through it, how you're gonna enable this email to work with the Google, okay? Now, because your email won't be logged in with the Google, for now I'll remove it, but I will re-add it again, okay? And I see the email address must be associated with the, okay.
You can just give Gmail.
Yeah, don't worry. That's okay. I'm gonna show it to you, and it's good to know how to log in as well with a different identity. Google supported, so why not using it? I am using it all the time. I show it to you. For now, I'll go to the project. I'll add you guys as an editor to the project. Okay, so you will be able to edit the project. Okay, for now, and I will add everyone else slowly by each. Okay. Now I am going to launch my browser in the incognito mode and show to you how we're gonna get our email activated with the Google, so we can even log in with our email to the Google services, except mails, except Google Drive. Okay, everything else gonna work. Okay, so I'm sharing again my screen. This is good to know, and I do it all the time, don't get me wrong. And anytime that you want to swap your username, that's okay, you can do it, okay, no worries. Okay, 1 second. And this is the problem every time I work, it come up. Okay, so we go to the Mr. Google again here. We're saying, Prof. Google, how are you? So we want to get a services from you. We create a new account for myself, okay? And then here you see, it says instead of that one, you could click on instead, and you put your email address here, you put your name, you put your last name here, and you put your email address here, and the password for confirmation. What it does now, if I put your, for example, Waterloo user email address, it will send you an email asking you to confirm. Now you can log in with this one, with the new password. As an example, let's do it this way. Sean Marabi. It becomes Sean Marabi at c1.com. I'm gonna put some password here. Forget the password. I put it. And then what it does, if I click on this, it will send me an email right away and telling me you're confirmed. Okay? If there is a code coming in, and I can put it right there. For now, I do not log into my C1 email. Okay? So this is the one. Now let me again reshare my screen on the IM role. So let's see who are being missing here. Okay. Okay, now. Okay. Now, let's talk about the overview on the cloud and Google services. It's very similar to the AWS service. It is very different than Microsoft service. Okay, very, very, very similar to the AWS. Because all of these cloud, AWS, Rackspace, NASA, and then Mr. Google, all four got the cloud services, got the baseline from the an open source cloud services that NASA and Rackspace build it together to be able to share the resources. Okay, so the concept is the same. Okay, so Google Cloud Platform. This is the Google Cloud Platform. It has a different services. Okay. It will start with from the top to the bottom with a lot of time about security, supports, and API services. These are the top one that is being used all the time. Security is after that. And then compliance, it will show you if you're compliant with the PCI or HIPAA or other compliance that is needed. If you're accepting credit cards in your app, means you have to have a PCI compliance. Which version? Depends. So this is in here, okay? Then it goes to the compute engine. The compute engine is, think about it, it's just simply a virtual machines or simply some virtual machines that they are managing it. They called it now app engines, okay? Something that the Google is managing it, we call it platform as a service and give you the service to use to work with it, become an app engine, but this is under the compute. And something that give you a virtual machine that you log into it, it become a compute. Okay, simple. The concept is very easy. Kubernetes is the cluster that you create and run container inside it. Okay, the container that is run inside the Kubernetes, a group of container, I call it. Even though if one container is sitting in a group, they call it pods. Okay, so you create a container image. We put it in, wrap it in the something called pod, and we deploy it in the Kubernetes services. This is the one that we want to go for, okay? But for now, because it's a little bit costly, we go to the next step to it, okay? Then, after that, cloud functions. Think about it, your API can be a function. Why? Do you care where it's run? Really no. Most of the time, what we want, we're looking for a URL to connect to our APIs, and the API is supposed to connect to the backend database, which is Postgres right now. Okay? But to be a function, and the functions, another good thing is the functions, guys. I love the functions. Why? Look at it here. Google Cloud Function Cost. First of all, first 2 million requests a month is free. Okay? The only thing is with the functions is that the app is not hydrated. Anytime that a new request coming in, it will launch the app. Okay? time to time, I create something to call my app all the time, put it behind some kind of other functions, repeatedly calling it. So that's the only problem with the functions. But rather than that, 2 million requests to it is free, right? And what I do most of the time, I create it like this. Say, launch my functions, keep it running for 5 minutes. Every 4 minutes and 59 seconds, I call it again. It's just shutting it down. It's coming back online. Another function is coming back online. Auto scaling is handled by the cloud providers. Means I don't need to worry about how many users connecting to it. To the URL, they're taking care of. Behind the scenes, it will add repeatedly too many of this and they're expanding it. But biggest challenge with the functions is that if you do not go use serverless.io, oh, it doesn't like me. Serverless framework. Sorry, serverless. Now they changed it to .com now. They bought .com. That's perfect. Okay? This framework, if you do not use this framework, okay, you will not be able to launch it as a function. Okay? The framework that you can see it here is just a wrapper for your current APIs. What you do, what are we using right now for the API, guys? Mike?
What's your question?
What are we using? What are the frameworks that we are using for the APIs? Can you repeat again?
Loopback.
Awesome. Loopback. Version 4 or 3?
Version 4.
Loopback 4. Serverless.
Oh, the serverless have a wrapper for loopback as well?
That's correct.
Oh, interesting.
Here you go.
Actually, I think I read that somewhere, and I was like, what is serverless? I was kind of like wondering.
You do not worry about the underlying infrastructure. You do not worry about anything. You're just going to say, I have this application, just run it for me. I don't care where it's
Oh.
And I have this is my Postgres database. Now this is the URL of it, connect to it. Okay? Then for the username and password, we use it environmental variables and passing it to the serverless. Okay? So it's gonna show you all of it. It's perfect. It's the future. Guys, remember at the beginning, we were getting a big servers like this and putting it in data centers, and you see the data centers, huge data centers. Now, we reduced all the huge data centers to a small data centers. Why? Because now virtualization came up. You could virtualize the server saying, oh, I have a VM number 1, 2, 3. And the cloud at that time started getting initiated. Microsoft started with something called hosting services. Okay, we're talking about 15 years ago. And then it slowly goes to us to something else. Docker comes with a container because they were hosting a website for a lot of customers. I was thinking, what should we do? What should we do? They create something called container. Now the container is a 2 framework. The most known framework is the Docker. The other framework is the Rocket. Okay, there is another framework that we have. It's called the Rocket. Okay, so that one is there. A lot of now we put our application inside the container. We push it everywhere else. I'll show it to you one of the containers right now. In 5 minutes, I'll show it to you. Okay, so that's the one. Then after that, they're saying, who cares about this? If I can put it in the container and push it everywhere else, why shouldn't I get the source code from the users, from a developer, just launch it in my cloud services? Developer, do you care about where it's run? No.
Yeah, what's up? Yeah, I was actually like curious what's the point of this?
Yeah, is the beauty of it this one. You're just gonna connect your repository to the CI/CDs. CI/CDs directly deploying it to the serverless, and you do not worry about anything else. Your app will come up. Simple as it is. Simple as. And the functions is designed to do some work for you behind the scenes. And a lot of banks, a lot of servers, a lot of people that are using functions. There is some limitation still on it, and you will get them out slowly. For example, connecting to the Microsoft SQL servers most of the time on the functions are not available. But who's using Microsoft SQL Server? 80% of them are not using Microsoft SQL. Okay, so then this is we talk about that one as well. Let's go back. Sorry guys, drag, go to that side. I'll give you the access to the environment, but for us to also, let me add 2 more members that I missed here. Then I'm hoping you're seeing my screen still, correct?
Yeah.
Amanda, did you enable your account with the Google, Mr. Google?
Yeah, I did.
Awesome. Now I'm adding you again here. It says the email address must be associated with the active Google account, G Suite account, or okay. Now what we're gonna do also for us to do another beautiful work as well together. I'll show you something beautiful now. Okay. I am going to create a new email for myself as a test, and we gonna call it I don't know, test cloud test. Okay, I'm gonna stop my presentations, redo it because I want to show you have $300 waiting for you right now. Okay, the window, and it will enable the Amanda's also Google services for in terms of the Google Cloud. Okay, now I go to here, mrgoogle.com, go to create an account for myself, not the business, and we're saying it Sean and Ravi. We're gonna call it cloud test, and today is 2020 0102. Huh, cool. That's a nice number. Okay, so password. Next. Beautifully is asking me to put my number here. Sure, I'll put it there. Okay, 778 49. There you go. So G Suite verification. Come in, please. Then we got the G Suite verification code.
So Sean, what do you think the developers need to learn on on the if I'm a backend developer, what are the key skills I need on the backend? We have got a lot of resources for learning as well. So which direction do you want to point them?
Sure. I'll go to that steps in next 5 minutes. Let me finish this process, Mike.
Okay.
So I will ask everyone to go sign up with the Google to get $300 credits right now. And we use that $300 credits, each one of us, for trial and error and learn. And then whatever we learn, we have another meeting together and we apply it to the current environment. And I will give you each one of us a task for the backend guys, for the front end guys, for the authentications, all those things that it will help us to move forward faster, okay? And learn a lot about the Mr. Google here, okay?
So Sean, are you going to cover about Docker and Kubernetes as well?
Yes, sure. I will cover a very, very high level on that one because I know if I go to that level right now, I guarantee you we're not gonna remember anything after this meeting. I suggest have a second meeting. What do you think, guys, about that?
Yeah. Otherwise, after an hour or so, our mind starts shutting down. Yeah. So we need to be here. I understand.
Yeah. So, okay, I am going to say yes. I'm in. Okay, now I'm gonna do something. So I give them the analytics. This is the that email. Okay, now we go to the mrcloud.google.com. Here you go. It takes me to the Google Cloud Console. What I'm gonna do is go back here. You see it here on top. It says free trial, 3 months. Okay, get it started. Free now. All of you guys do it right now. Okay. Another things. Anytime that you want to go to do anything with any of these cloud providers, go grab one of these what you call the prepaid credit cards. Do not use your own credit cards, guys. If you guess why, anyone can guess why we're using the prepaid credit card.
Yeah, in case your services just don't stop, you'll end up overcharging your credit cards. I've done that with AWS once. I'm never doing that again.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
That's scary.
That's scary.
So you can't even use your own credit card?
It's best
I
not
did-
to. It's best not to.
What? That's stupid. Then like, what am I gonna do if I don't have the one-time use credit card?
These ones, you can get it from any shop. Any shop is available.
Oh man, that's crazy. I didn't know that's a thing.
Yeah,
Wow.
it is available, and that is good for this time because I learned it like Nick that a lot of my students they go use their own credit card, they forget to shut down the servers, and they suddenly see a huge bill coming up. If you forget to shut down the service, what these the credit cards will do, they're not going to be able to charge or to charge this one, and they're simply cloud provider shutting down your service. They send you 2 emails and they shut down your service. Okay, then you can go talk to them, say, oh, I did it mistakenly, please forgive me, please cancel this charges, even though those are possible. But rather than going back again and saying, please refund my money, which is difficult, it's better to use this one if you're doing a trial and error. If you're really setting up your production environment, definitely use the proper credit cards. Definitely call the cloud providers to limit the transaction on your credit cards as well. I have another credit card which is designed for all cloud services, and it has a insurance for the using online. Okay, if someone for any mistakenly get my credit card and use it somewhere else in online, then what will happen is that it will not be charged. Okay, now let me continue on this one. Done. I got my cloud services, $300. Now it's asking me to put a business name here. I am choosing an individual and done. Putting my address here. Something's okay. That's the address. Good. Yeah, and then you see it's asking me to choose a credit card payment method. Okay. Automatically, this is the DAB. Okay. Okay, I am going to use this one right now, and because I like you guys, and what I'm gonna do here, I'm gonna stop it for a second, because I know Mike is recording these meetings, and Google likes my credit cards to be recorded all the time in these meetings, and then yeah, and we
Should we make it as a business account?
if
Or is it
you wanna
individual.
individual,
Alright.
yeah, there. But they know it. Okay, is a person, is not the a company. Okay.
If we need to use like our own credit card right now, because I don't have a prepaid one, can we just switch it to a prepaid one later?
Yeah, you can do it as well later as well. Don't worry about it. You can
Wait,
change
so-
it later. But
Sean, if you're,
Mhm.
go ahead.
This one is the verifications. They want to verify you are a human being. Okay. So the first part is that making sure that you are a human being, and then making sure that you can get the access to the cloud console and get your $300 credit. Okay. That's the reason they're using it. Okay. And the next step is that after that, they're going to tell you, okay, we're going to charge you. Okay. But how you can stop the charge? Just after you create your account 1 week later, just make a support ticket telling them Google that it is this one, and I don't want to get ever charged. I want my cloud services to be canceled if it's going to charge me anything. So they will cancel it and send you an email. Okay, if you're using your own personal credit card. Okay, now I see this one. It is asking me for my telephone number. Okay.
Yeah, Sean, just wanted to mention, I'm gonna put it in my credit card. I'll activate this later. I just forgot my wallet at my mom's house. That's the other thing.
Yeah, no problem. So you enable this one for now, okay? So what will happen is that when you enable the account for yourself, then you get the $300 credits. Today, I'm not gonna go to the details of how we're gonna put the pipeline, set up the whole accounts and the rest. I give you some links in the chat right now today. Once is the CI/CD, second a compute. Okay, guys, go ahead, learn about those things. Then I'll walk you through the whole setup. again in the next meetings that we will have, and we will launch everything together. I already have everything's infrastructure as a code. I'm using a Terraform for this purpose, and I'm gonna show it to you how we're gonna launch everything at that time. Okay, so this meeting, overall, you understand what are we going to do. We're grabbing the codes from the repositories, using the CI/CD, pushing it to the Google Cloud, and we use all the other services around it. Deployments, I suggest let's do it in the next meeting rather than I waste your time today and keep you here. We say, Happy New Year, it's a new year, guys. And the first things in the new year, we learn something cool. Awesome. Any question, any concern?
Sean, when's the wrapper thing comes in? What's the thing that you showed me just before called again? Free. It was like
serverless or
yeah, serverless. Yeah. So within that, from the CI, from the where is serverless coming in to the play?
Serverless, not at this time. We're not going to watch the serverless at this time because you need to check your application. You need to change some of the APIs to be able to be compatible for the serverless. I'll walk you through the overall how the serverless is gonna work in our next sessions. But at the end of the session, first part of the session, we focus on deploying our current infrastructure, current services for the 4 different environments that we have. And after that, we go towards to the serverless at the end of it, and I'm gonna show you how overall the serverless is gonna work. And if you want to use a serverless, how we're gonna use it, how we're gonna deploy our application APIs using serverless. Even though I did the front-end application using serverless as well, it is supporting Python, Node, and time-to-time PHP. Now, recently I noticed that they're also using the .NET Core. They called it .NET Core. That's the Microsoft .NET as well. So that one also is supported, but I think only on Azure. But most of the providers are using Python or Node or both.
Yeah.
Those are the baselines that are being used. And the rest, for example, some of the providers are changing it into different things as well. And it's the huge things. Board is going towards the serverless and API gateways and those kind of things. So later on, we talk about it the next steps. But for now, we are building a proof of concept, MVP apps as well. And for the minimum viable for working products, I called it, you could do it simply with the compute and it will not cost us a lot. So let's go that path and then we move forward from there. And you told me you were using OAuth for authentications, correct?
I'm trying.
Yeah, you're trying. How about you use the Firebase for authentication? Have you ever done the Firebase in the past?
No, I did research. I read a couple articles on it, but I thought OAuth will be the best because it has all the third-party things like APIs installed.
Yeah, I can actually
I started with JWT, right? Obviously, just like any authentication, and I wanted to expand to third-party, right? But then I realized that if I use OAuth, I could just switch the strategy. Like you just switch from like a basic strategy to like third-party strategies and have different.
Dude, I can send you a video. It's like not even joking. 2 minutes, you get Google authentication with Firebase done in like 2 minutes. It's really easy to use. I can send you a video on that.
Firebase is this much.
Really?
I'm so serious.
Yeah. Why was I? But I was spending like months doing OAuth. Wait, yeah, I didn't know about this.
Firebase is easy. That's why Google is getting a lot more towards the developers, and they're slowly. Their goal is in 5 years, they're killing Azure and AWS. I guarantee you they do it. Okay? They did a
Firebase.
Yeah. Firebase. I'm sending you the video right now.
Yeah, can you put it on the chat, please? Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
And also, don't forget, Loopback has a beautiful connectors for the Firebase. You say authentication, Firebase. 2 minutes, done.
What? I
Yeah, that's a good thing with the Loopback as well. Okay, good. So let's wrap it up today. Okay, wrap it up. So again, I'm asking Mike as well to invite me to the Hanger Swap, what they call the Hanger Swap Slack channel as well. I'll give you some directions in a Slack channel. I'll create a group for us in a Slack, and then put you a lot of notes and the things that over there. I'll give you the access later on to our code repository for the infrastructure as a code. We are going to use Terraform for this purpose. Terraform is a code infrastructure as a code deployment that it can work with multiple providers. A lot of others are available, but Terraform is the god because you can use multiple providers. When I'm deploying my applications, instead of I go create all those VMs, all those servers, all those things, most of the time I have my Terraform code plus the Ansible workbooks, and those gonna do it like this. Dum, 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 dum. Then we have everything set up. Simple as it is. In 20 minutes, you're up and running. So we will do it next meetings together, and you will see it, how fast it's gonna go. Okay?
Sean, when do you want me to schedule the next meeting with you and everyone else?
I believe if we can put it, for example, for coming Friday 8th, or even though in the weekends, again, if everyone's available, that will be the perfect one. But the other one, if we need, we will go for 2 hours meeting. First 1 hour and a half, we do a lot of things on the infrastructure. We code releasing everything to the infrastructure end to end, and then move forward from there. Okay?
I could do Friday again at 5 p.m. Eastern time, which is
That's perfect. That's perfect. Go for it.
Perfect. Does
So
that work?
next Friday? Next Friday?
Yeah, next Friday.
Next Friday, 8th, right?
January 8th.
Yeah, that should work for me. 2 p.m. PST, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, that works for me too.
I'm good on that. And I'll double check with Colin if he's good on that. All right.
All right. I know Colin gets out of work at 5:30, but I'm gonna reach out to him. He told me if I just give him a heads up 2-3 days before, then he could leave early on those days. So
No problem.
if you want to talk to him, also, I'll just add the invite right now.
I'll also just shoot him over like a text and
All right. Perfect.
I'll put this in, so yeah.
Wait, Sean, I have a question about by next week. Like, what should we try to have done?
I'll send you the details. First thing first, you have your Google account ready. And the second thing, just get yourself familiar with a little bit with the CI/CD in the Google and compute services that they have. I already sent a link here. I'll send you more details around it as well.
How about for like backend and like having like endpoints and like
all of those coming
migrating to like pardon?
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was just wondering like because I heard the endpoints are really important. And for backend, from backend to so I was wondering, is there anything that I should be trying to get it done before Friday?
No, don't worry. We will do it together, all of it. But the only is I need the access to your endpoints, and I believe Mike has access to them. He's gonna give me the access to that. I'll look at your endpoints in your GitHub repo, and then we go from there.
Okay.
Yeah, I just need
so just have the endpoints. Okay, just have the endpoints.
Yeah.
Pardon?
Hey, Slack.
Oh yeah. Thank you. I'll try this. I'll switch to Firebase. I didn't know about this.
It's so easy. Like
I swear someone could have told me, but like I swear. Dude, OAuth is actually hard. Like OAuth, like because like you have to like switch strategies.
There's a learning curve to it.
Yeah, it's a.
Sean, you said an hour and a half, right?
Yes.
Or 2 hours?
2 hours? No, 2 hours. First 1 hour and a half, we focus on our primary work, that is the deploying the environments into the 4 different environments we create. We deploy the endpoints, we deploy the database, all those things, and make it a whole system fully automated end-to-end. And after that, we focus a little bit, last 30 minutes on the serverless and loopback. And then I show the teams how the serverless and loopback will work together.
Okay, I just sent out the calendar. Let me know if you guys got it.
Thank you so much.
Yep, I got it.
I got it too.
Yeah, me too.
Perfect.
It's interesting. It's interesting.
I got it.
Yeah.
Mike, you got it too, right?
I got it.
All right.
All right, we're good.
Very good. Okay, guys.
Is there anything else?
See you then. Not from my side. Anything from your side?
Happy New Year's, everyone.
Happy New Year's,
And,
everyone.
yeah, Happy New Year's.
Guys, have a
Happy New
good
Year's.
one. Thank
Yeah.
you so much.
Have a good one.
I'll see you guys.
Hey, Sean, thanks for coming today. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, John.
Thank you, Sean.
Yeah, thank you. It was very informative.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you, guys.
No problem, guys. Thank you. Bo, you still in here?
Yeah.
Mark, you still in here? I'm gonna invite Han Chin to the meeting real quick. He wants to share something.
All right, I can stay for a couple minutes, but I'm there, so I can't stay for long.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I mean, if you have to go, that's fine. He just wants to show me a few things with the website. All right.
All right, sorry. I had some visitors over. How'd the meeting go? Oh, I should stop the recording now. Stop the recording.